Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tome of Uselessness and another solo cast with me, Dan. Today's episode is about Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. It's an animated show from Adult Swim, and it premiered on September 2nd, 2001, and ended its run on July 22nd, 2007. Had a total of 39 episodes over the course of 4 seasons. The episodes themselves run for about 12 minutes each, and we're part of Adult Swim's The Block, which sounded like a weird name to me, but it's pretty 2000-ish, I guess, you know. And that was when they were first starting out as well, with this kind of adult-oriented programming. Last year, actually, just recently, in 2018, the creative team got together and reunited for a special titled Harvey Birdman, Attorney General. And the plot of that is his boss becomes president briefly, and then it's about like an impeachment process. It's very political in its message, you know, with the climate down in the States right now. So the show was created by Michael Elohine, and Eric Richter, and revolves around the activity of the 7 and 7 law firm, which is staffed mostly by superheroes and other characters who originally were featured in past Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So there's a lot of cameos and a lot of appearances by all sorts of characters. The main character, of course, is Harvey T. Birdman, and he was originally from the show called Birdman and the Galaxy Trio. So he's an attorney, so he's an ex-superhero, and Birdman, like I said, it's he literally is a man. He's wearing a helmet, a suit, and he's got giant wings on his back, has some sort of vague powers involving the sun, a la Superman and stuff like that, and just kind of, he's an attorney instead. So he's working for the firm alongside other cartoon stars. His clients are primarily composed of characters taken from Hanna-Barbera cartoons and the series from the same era, from like the 60s and the 70s. And the cases that show up can be super frivolous. Like there's some that it's just like they want a name change or something like that, or characters being arrested or sued for activities that they would normally be involved with in their own show. So there's an early episode where Shaggy and Scooby get charged with a DUI. The sheriff, Ricochet Rabbit, he's being sued by the town because he causes all sorts of damage. The town is free of crime now, so he's just kind of bouncing around causing damage. So they, bring a lawsuit against him. The lawyers on the other side are Nemesis from his the former cartoon. You got Myron Reducto. He's featured a lot and prominently, and he's like this paranoid man who wants to shrink everything and everyone. He's kind of waving his shrink ray around all the time. And the judge is Mentok the Mind Taker a lot of the times. And he's always, every time he says his name, he's woo, he does a little sound effect. And it's like literally the voice actor doing it. He shows up as a judge, and in a later season you get to see how he has like this Superman-esque origin where he's like the last survivor of a planet and stuff like that. It's good stuff. One of the main bad guys that shows up a lot is X the Eliminator. He's a recurring villain, and he's obsessed with obtaining the crest from Birdman's helmet. And there are many episodes where he's shown dragging a death console around. He like places it in the courtroom. He's watching for Harvey every time he like walks near some, a specific target. He's like reaching for the buttons and stuff like that. So a great aspect of the show is the attention to details when they're referencing other characters. When introduced or shown clips of, like, say, a scene that they were involved in, it'll mimic the original art style of the show from that era. So when the Flintstones show up, it looks very Flintstones, and, like I said, Scooby-Doo and all them. There's one clip where they have a show, a family, like, singing band brought in, and they're very Japanese, and they're all kind of, like, static and everything like that. It's, like I said, they pay real close attention to that kind of stuff. In a show of this magnitude, of course, there's a lot of voice talent, but surprisingly, compared to some other shows where, like, some voice talents has to do, like, a ton of voices, in this one, not really the case. I mean, there are some exceptions, of course, like the great Maurice LaMarche. He's in there and he does a ton of voices, but it's usually kind of maybe one character for one episode. And the main Main voice talents are, you got Gary Cole as Harvey Birdman and Hiram Maitor, Stephen Colbert, who of course famously goes on to do the Colbert Report, and then now he hosts one of the evening talk shows. He plays his boss, Phil Ken Seven, and as I was mentioning, Myron Reducto does a very different voice. I didn't know it was done by him until I was looking this up. You got Thomas Allen as Peanut, who becomes like a clerk working for Birdman, but he's wearing the same Birdman outfit, but he never does anything superhero-esque really with it. And later seasons, they introduce Paget Brewster as Bird Girl, and she wants to be like the Bird Girl superhero, so she's always like, to the Bird Mobile, and all sorts of comedy ensues with that kind of stuff. Greta Leslie plays a few roles, Debbie, Daphne Blake, and a few others. Chris Eggerly plays Peter Potamus, who's this purple hippo who's always asking around if you got that thing that he sent. And he plays a bunch of other voices throughout the show. As I mentioned, you got John McHale Higgins as Mentalk the Mind Taker. Does a great job with Mentalk. Like I said, always doing the voice and always being ridiculous. And he'll switch from super high drama to like quickly where he's just like, I'm Mentalk and just show the clip. So it's really great to hear his just switches like that. Reese LaMarche, as I mentioned, he's a legend in the voice acting. He famously was Brain from Pinky and the Brain, and he's just done a ton of work. And again, in this show, he just plays all sorts of characters for either 1 or 2 episodes. Peter McNichol, he plays X the Eliminator, and he does this really high-pitched kind of voice with like a rolling syllables all the time. And then there's all sorts of people that come in, just do like a cameo for 1 episode or 1 character, and maybe if they come back, notably there was Lewis Black, who was also did some work on he's a stand-up comedian. He's done a lot. He did some work on the Daily Show and other things. He shows up as Elliot, the Deadly Duplicator. Mark Hamill, of course, shows up as Ricochet Rabbit, so I definitely didn't know it was him. I don't think he says a lot of lines. Phil Lamar, who plays Black Vulcan, and I was kind of shocked because he does a ton of voice work as well, so I was expecting to see his name show up for more characters, but just as the 1 character, but he does come back quite a few times. And Tress MacNeille and Billy West, of course, both worked with Matt Groening on Futurama and all sorts of stuff. Billy West, of course, again, a legend in voice work. So lots of talent, and they could bring these people in, and I guess, again, because they were working on other things, they could come in, do the 1 character, and then, move on to other projects. So, as I was saying, the creators, Mike Halloween and Eric Richter, were originally the writers for Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which was where Birdman made his debut. And I never really watched Spaceman Coast to Coast. I remember a few people telling me that it was pretty funny, but I was never really a big fan of the late night show format anyway. And I understand that this was a comedy parody version of that, but I don't know. I just never really could get into it. But like I said, Harvey Birdman just captured me immediately. Same with Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I know a lot of people, again, really like that show, but just didn't get me. And maybe I just didn't give it enough of a chance. Like maybe now if I went back to it, I would enjoy it. At the time, this show was Adult Swim's most expensive original series, and it was the most expensive Space Ghost Coast to Coast spinoff. The first season was animated using Digital Ink and Paint, and they had trouble keeping up with the production schedule and making changes if they had to. So the remaining seasons were animated using Adobe After Effects, so they could stay on top of it, make changes quicker. And I believe Archer is also animated using an Adobe product I remember reading somewhere, which that of course has its own distinct style. And so the switch was really good because then they could maintain the fast pace, make changes and fix errors, of course, if they came up. Doing that, they just, brought down production costs, which everyone wants to save money. Except for as we advocate, they should try to spend more money on their scripts. When I was reading and doing this research, I totally forgot that there was a video game that was released in 2008 based on the show. I remember seeing it and hearing about it, but I totally forgot about it until I was rereading about it. And it was developed by High Voltage Software and published by Capcom. And the mechanics were very similar to the Ace Attorney series, which is also published by Capcom. So it made sense. And I've always wanted to play the Ace Attorney games. Again, it's another series that I remember some friends watching some of them play, and just looks like a good time. And it's over the top anime style and lawyer courtroom drama stuff. So it fits very well for the mechanics for this show. And so, like I said, if you get a chance to try that, it seems like it could be worth it. A couple more notes of interesting trivia here. So Stephen Colbert and Todd Barry both auditioned for the role of Harvey Birdman. Of course, like I said, Colbert does other work in this show. And there's a commercial that has like a phone number, 1877 Manbird, and it was a real number. I don't know if it's still active, but if you called it, there was an automated messaging and answering service provided by Peter Potamus. Colbert's character, Phil Ken Sebin, his name is sort of a homophone on Falcon 7, which was the character who gave Birdman his assignments over a video link in the original Birdman and Galaxy Trio show. There's a woman character, Gigi, in the show, which is a play on Gigi, which was short for Galaxy Girl, which was her original character in Birdman and the Galaxy Trio. In this one, she's kind of like the only other female character in the law firm, so everyone's always trying to like hit on her and go after her and everything like that kind of thing. So yeah, like I said, the show is great. It has a lot of clever gags, parodies, and references just hidden throughout its entire run, and it just makes it a great series to watch. I recently did a rewatch, and I definitely was laughing. The episodes are quite short, so you can just kind of power through a bunch of them and not realize that the time has gone by and you've gone through 39 episodes in a pretty quick time. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely try to track it down, give it a watch. Hilarious stuff. If you've seen it but haven't seen it in years, get some episodes out and give them a rewatch. Lots of fun. So yeah, there's just some simple facts. I hope you learned something a little bit about Harvey Birdman, and I would highly recommend watching it. Please check us out on our website, tomeofuselessness.com, where we got links to our podcast, other videos, other episodes, all sorts of other content. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you later. Thank you.